Sorry, guys. I'm getting this loaded up at the same time. He said, oh, okay. Eric's got time to chat. Cool. All right. So we got this loaded up. Let's see. Let me bring Eric on here. What's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm okay. I'm okay. How you doing? Um, I already asked that. Y'all can look at it on the live chat.
No, I'm doing good, man. I appreciate it. I just hanging out, man. Just listening to some music and letting anybody come on that wants to join me. And I was like, man, I gotta get Eric on here and actually do a straight up interview with him because we got some time travel stuff to talk about, and
Oh,
we haven't dove into it yet.
oh, I missed time travel. So 2023 is still next year. 2020. As far as my story is concerned, I'm gonna explain this really quick. It's a very brief story, and you could think I'm crazy. It's fine. That was already my moniker. If people think I'm crazy. So now I'm Crazy E, right? That was what I was before. Eric Carthage is because of a lot of copywriting issues and trying to keep your name afloat on the internet, that type of thing. And anybody could be a Crazy E. I figured that out with the MySpace days.
Well, it's a good alternative. It's another persona to have.
Yeah,
Like if I gotta unleash this, I can unleash this at any time. Crazy E could come out.
and it's not an altar. It like I'm finding out about the altars now, so I'm like, oh, that's what they could have been. So I'm just gonna leave it alone. But I became crazy in 2020 because we did this whole thing called the New World Side Order, where um we started the album with like 3 songs. It was just us, like, just, I guess, just making music because we had nothing else better to do. We was looking for some weed, and that's when you hear the first song. I ain't calling Pest's boy no more. Like, if the phone rings, it's the weed man. So what transpired after that is, like, those 3 songs were so banging. Like, the guy that started it, Concept, Concept, creative, on point, noble concentration, exceptional penmanship, tradition. Right? He hyphened his whole freaking name. Annoying guy, but very good rapper.
Is he a good
Fire.
lyricist? He's got to be a good lyricist if he does that.
Yeah. So you know, we came up with the idea that, okay, we're time travelers from 2020. He's just started rambling this shit off and rambling it off. Okay, we bump into an alien that gives us the capability to time travel back to our present year.
Where was he getting that from? Was he just going off the top of the head or what?
Off the top of the fucking head.
All right.
Off the top of the fucking head. Like, he just kept, like, brainstorming this shit. And I'm sitting there like, okay, I'm gonna work with you on this one. You know, we made like about 3 more songs to turn into four. It became an EP, right? Our first show, we didn't have any mask on. We put the mask on after that. We just started to keep brainstorming. At 2020, the scenario was that George Bush was going to run for re-election for the third time. That was a trigger for me because I'm always, like, scared of anybody doing more than 2 terms. It's almost illegal.
I mean,
Uh,
it is against what can happen. The only time it can happen is if somebody doesn't serve a full presidential term. So then they can usually reapply
yeah,
and get that said lost time.
you know about that.
Yeah.
You know about everything, basically. I know.
No, I don't know about everything, man.
Yeah,
I dabble in a lot, but that's one of the things I try to follow is law, at least constitutional ideas, because I don't know. I don't want to be distracted and miss out on something like that. That to me, I'm so worried about somebody's doing something right in front of me and I'm not noticing it.
yeah. I mean, we fast forward after shows and shows of wearing Tyvek suits and living apocalyptic with an alien head, which we had to, like, remake. Right? So we was doing shows with these masks on, and we was able to, you know, have like a mics hooked up, so it kind of made us look like we was telepathic, you
Yeah.
know. Uh, and long story short, you know, that pretty much crashed. It's still, I was just sitting back waiting for 2020, basically. You know me, because if anything we were saying was true, because I believe in prophecy and I believe in aliens and I believe in time travel and I believe in all this other stuff, and I happen to be on this project, 2020 is going to be a really interesting year.
Oh
And
man,
2020 was a really interesting year for a lot of people, wasn't it?
to
You
say the
know,
least.
um, we had we had lots of things concerning 2020. I'm just going to say 2020. It's there. It's it. The
We got you.
there. You know about those reptilians. I used to love that show. You know, um, that was an interesting one. And that was like the reptilians and stuff, and they just try to, you know, they try to spoon feed people with these type of subjects all the time. Point is, I wake up one morning and I'm thinking, is this real? Are people really doing this? And I stumble upon, you know, stuff like, you know, this one guy is like an alien that says he's a time traveler and he's like an evolved species of humans, and he probably has no things. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? He has no
Yeah, they probably
he has no
reproduce in a
sexual
different
organ,
way.
possibly. And I'm like, how do they reproduce? You know, that's the first thing I'm thinking. But you
I mean,
know,
when I think of small grays, I think of them as more manufactured. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know why. I think they're
hmm,
people think that they're like a worker race, and some people talk about them in different ways. But I've heard a lot of people talk about them being more of a worker race. But I haven't heard it about the reptilians. The biggest thing about the reptilians I hear is that there's an on Earth version, and then there's a version from the Draco system that pretty much runs things, and those are your reptilians with wings, and they're usually a different color than the ones that are on Earth.
I'm hearing about more about the Dracos, and that's what I get telepathically is that's what they want you to. That's what they want to be called. They're tired of being called reptilians. Like I'm the guy negotiating and shit. And you could say that I'm crazy. It's fine.
But
Uh, but
that makes me think they don't want to be misconstrued for another race that is similar to reptilians. You know what I mean? They want to stand out from like that. Immediately says to me that they're trying to separate themselves.
possibly, possibly, yeah. So there's the Greys. They're the first ones you contact when you get up there. You know, they I don't know whether they run things in the universe. I don't know how far their power goes, but I know that nobody messes with these guys, and they're the first ones to come here.
I mean, and I don't know if they're like our version of what a robot would be to like probe and figure out what's going on over there. Like maybe that's their job. They just take out missions. That's why I mean they're like a worker race by description.
They're watchers.
Watchers, yeah. Well, I feel like the watchers
That's what
are
I.
more of an oversight. I think those are the people looking down and making sure everything's going right. Because I feel like the watchers are even higher than the because I mean I hate to use the word, but slave race. That's what the Greys remind me of is a slave race. They work for maybe more than one being.
Okay. I I I'll raise you a reticulant
All right.
card. All right. Now I believe that those are the hybrids. Um, that they figured out some way to connect our DNA with theirs, and they're really tall. They're not there's the short grays and then there's the tall grays, and they're the
Mhm.
ones that look like the grays, but they have more humanoid faces.
Well, and I've heard them named as tall whites more than anything
Tall
because they
white.
actually have more of a pale feature than some of the smaller grays.
They are whiter. Yes, they're definitely whiter. Uh,
No, but like I've heard things that substantiate that. Like what I've heard is basically that it's a futuristic version of ourselves, and they have gotten to a point of evolution where they can no longer reproduce, and they will even time travel back to this time. That was the case where a gentleman touched a craft in the woods, and basically he got some numbers um, imprinted in his head. He wrote them all down on a notebook, and then they translated it. It was actually what's it called? Computer code, and it was just ones and zeros. And they translated what he said, and it turns out they were a future version of humans that had come back, and that was basically their messages. They had gotten themselves to a point where they could no longer reproduce, and they were trying to steer humanity in the right direction.
I got to that point with them, and what I figured out is one of the ways they multiply is actually through time travel. Let me explain real quick. What happens is they they go back in time to their former self. They bring that former self back up in time, and they do this quite a few times. This is one of the things that probably ruined their planet. That's the thing called overpopulation. I'm sure you've heard, everybody has heard about this, right? That possibility that we might be overpopulated. I'm not sure that's the case, but in a time travel world where that's just normalized and you can't reproduce, they're gonna do some crazy stuff like that. Okay, they're gonna make sure they do.
I feel like the whole planet has been warned about overpopulation for the longest time. Like I do feel like it's always been kind of an undertone. Like what are those stones that were just recently uh, destroyed or something?
Right, right. The Georgia Stone or
Yeah, the
something like.
Georgia stones. They warn of population control. Basically, I mean
Yeah,
that's basically what they're talking about. They're talking about a set limit of people on the planet. And I
and
mean,
that,
if
that broke.
if global warming is, I think global warming is happening. What I think the root cause is might be different than everybody else's, but at the same time, I know the planet's warming up, and if we get less and less surface area on the planet because our ice caps are melting, I think, to be honest, I think the planet will only be at a resting state when actually there's no ice caps on either end. Like I think it's still us coming out of an ice age. I don't really think it's supposed to actually have ice caps on both ends. I think it like if a water planet's a water planet, it's not an ice and water planet. Usually, it at its resting state, I feel like it would be all water until it dried up, of course. But
Yes, global warming. Global warming is a big issue. Let me shut up. Um, yo,
waiting for
we're
California
going,
to detach, but
either,
that hasn't happened yet.
either listen, either we're going closer to the sun, farther from the sun, or it's a greenhouse effect. I've spoken about this quite a few times, and the greenhouse effect means that you have to regulate the carbon in the
I don't think our atmosphere is strong enough to have that great of a greenhouse effect. I do think there's flares influencing it, but to have a greenhouse effect, we'd have to have a planet more like Neptune.
yeah,
They have a very dense planet atmosphere, and that's why we've always speculated that it was possible that there was life on there in the past, and that's why a lot of people have made those claims. There's actually science fiction movies about it, about people living on Neptune, and just the atmosphere around it. You wouldn't know what was actually going on underneath because the atmosphere is so thick, but you would get greenhouse effect from something like that. But I don't think our atmosphere and the way that we take care of it, I we do pollute enough that we are fucking up our atmosphere. That's for damn
yeah,
sure.
yeah. I mean, with all the trees, with all the trees, you would think we would have enough trees to sustain life on this planet, and then you start burning down the trees.
Right. Gotta have that paper.
Like they start burning down the trees. We're not talking about power. We're talking about just simple parks, and it's alarming. It's alarming. Either this is done by the deliberation or this is done by natural causes. Never know. Like what do you think about that one?
I mean, I think it's all financially based. I mean, that's why we take down rainforests. We grow rainforests just to take them down. We grow wood just to chop it up and turn it into paper. And we ruin so many habitats just trying to uh, forest areas. I mean, to be honest, like when I like to go camping, I like to go to areas that have never been deforested, and they haven't used their land in quite some time, probably 60 years plus, um, for making paper or anything like that. They're not just selling the wood off, and it's crazy to see. I always call it Sasquatch country because you can't see 5 feet in front of you because like naturally the you would have wooded areas, and most of the time humans get involved and they destroy the shit out of it. They want to run a road through it or something else. And they redirect the water. They do pretty much whatever they want, and you don't know what the natural atmosphere would look like if humans weren't involved. But I don't think our problem is necessarily humans in general. It's usually the way we do things. Like I think one of our biggest things that's fucking up the ozone and our atmosphere is actually the methane production, and it's usually because of factory farming, because we have all these fucking cows and pigs all in large amounts on farms, and what do? They fart. I mean, they produce methane when they do it.
I thought it was our farts. I'm worried about that one.
I mean, I don't think human farts aren't even as high in methane. I mean, it's rare. It depends on your diet, but I mean, you can light your farts on fire if you got enough methane going on.
We don't have methane. Definitely have carbonated fossil fuel and stuff. You know,
Carbonated fossil fuels.
depending on how much, depending on how much meat you eat. That's another. Like
That
there's
ain't that
people
ain't true.
that in their farts. Like
Well, I mean,
I,
there's a limit to anything you should eat, like in abundance. But when it comes to meat, like I don't think it's bad to eat meat. I think your body's actually meant to do it. I think that's why our brains are the way that they are today is when we started cooking meat. I believe in the stoned ape theory, and I believe that when we started cooking meat, it made a huge difference on the nutrients we were able to take in.
Yeah.
And when it came to the stoned ape theory, that's the theory that when apes came down from the trees, they were following around cattle, and they would find mushrooms inside of their dung, and they would take said mushrooms, and it would actually help them reproduce. It would help them have better better knowledge of their surroundings, and they were more like acute to what was going on. And I don't know. There's, I think it's a combination of things that helped the human brain grow, but
Yeah.
without just saying, somebody advanced our species, I have to come up with something because that's the other alternative that explains the huge gap in our DNA.
Planet of the Apes, man. It's the calculation.
I mean, what Grant? Do you know Graham Hancock? Well, not personally, but have you heard of Graham
uh,
Hancock?
um, the name rings a bell. Who's
I like his theory that we are a civilization with amnesia, as in like it's very possible that we had more advanced humans on the planet before ourselves, and then we could have had to restart at some point because of our own self
I
destruction.
believe it was quite a I believe it was quite a few times, and the problem is we don't know when that last time is going to be up.
Yeah, exactly. I'm waiting. We can. That's the kind of work that Graham does. Is he'll go look at uh, I don't know structures underwater, like full towns that haven't been seeing the daylight in at least 2,000 years. And it's like, oh, okay, you're gonna tell me that people built these underwater? Like, no, that's not what happened. This was clearly above the surface at some point, and like we know that it wasn't just by tides alone. It would take 2,000 years back into the past just to be able to see the tops of some of these structures, and it is insane. And like we pretty much try to deny it with history, and don't want to point to the fact that we could have been more than hunter gatherers about 2,000 years ago. I think the easiest example is the Great Pyramids, but
I was gonna go there. You read my mind.
I
No,
don't have that ability.
like
Not
I
that I know of.
stuff a lot. I got to give that a take. People still, what I want to say is, people still don't know how the pyramids were made, but yet there's still a story, um, in masonry where they have this guy called Abiff, Abimelech, added a bit something a Biff, he's a Biff. And so he has like, I'm not a mason, but I hear all this stuff and I try to figure this shit out. Anyway, part of my language.
Oh no, you're good.
Okay. Point is, so what happened was they got rid of all the technology that they used to build these pyramids for whatever pharaohs they had. Now, there's always a conspiracy theory where those pyramids were there before they even got there.
That's not a conspiracy theory. The person that's attached to the pyramids,
Yeah,
they know that he found the pyramids. They were buried when they found them.
and they took it out of sand. They
And
was
I
like,
mean, and
"Oh, that's
even
cool."
when we found it years later, it was buried. You think about how many structures we probably have under the sand that nobody knows anything about.
Yeah, underwater too. I heard
Oh yeah,
about. So there are. It's possible. There was either a great either there was a great flood or there was civilizations way more advanced than this one that just didn't make it.
I think that's the best. That's the best similarity you can take out of all religion is the Great Flood myth or the Great Flood story. It might not be a myth. I think the planet's flooded multiple times. I think it happens in several different cycles depending on what the planet's going through and what's going on in the planet. If you got volcanoes going off and you got cold ends at one end, like I could see stuff getting melted and flooded all the time. But at the same time, it's like I don't know how do you measure those stuff besides doing ice core samples and knowing what like the Earth went through. Most of the people that are doing ice core samples don't say that the reason that we have global warming today is because of human impact.
Right, right.
I mean, unless they're just looking at the last 50 years. If you start going back into thousands of years, you can actually look at that at ice core samples. And some scientists actually study those things. I was watching a scientist that was on Steven Crowder, and that's exactly what he used to work for Greenleaf. He's a big hippie guy, and he was just like, no, 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 like there's a lot of factors that come into global warming, but he doesn't think that human influence is like the main one. And I'm like, regardless, we're probably still fucking a little bit of shit up. Like,
Well, ask them about the ozone layer.
oh
Yeah,
yeah, most of the
we
time that's what they're
that
talking.
up. And I'm still using Axe to this day. I don't know. It might be in the Lysol. You know what I mean? Like
I
it's
mean, well, if we get off the aerosol, I always wondered that, like, how much aerosol actually like does it take to put a hole in the ozone layer? Like, honestly, like we've always been told that it fucks up the ozone, but at the same time, like, how much does it fuck up the ozone? Why are you still selling it? Like,
all day. They run out the bottle. Use a bottle a day, and let's use to mess up the ozone layer. That's like my generation hearing about this one. Like, okay, how quickly are we going to burn? Oh, that was that protective layer that was supposed to keep radiation out, right? We're still here today, and hopefully, some of it is healing, but I'm sure it's still out there, and that's possibly the cause of global warming right now. There's a couple of ozone layer patches from what I remember. I might be going through the Mandela effect. I didn't see it happen, right? I'm sure a lot of people did. But we don't talk about this. We're talking about global warming. We're forgetting about that ozone layer. Good job, government.
that's what I'm saying. Well, I mean, they're more, and that's why I say everything comes down, like whether we're talking about deforesting or whether we're talking about the ozone layer, it all comes down to money. If people can keep making money off the same product and it's easy to make and it's cheap to make, they're going to keep making it. And they're going to keep making money. And there's not going to be any regulation to stop them. Or they'll go make it somewhere else.
Yes, forest thing is a thing. I heard about that one. Definitely. So, you know, People are against growing. The next law is going to be don't grow your own shit. Don't grow your own stuff. Hopefully that doesn't happen. I'm able to paradox certain stuff, but some stuff I'm not.
I
So
mean, you're allowed to. So in Illinois, you're allowed to grow your own stuff if you want to,
okay,
like in any way, shape, or form to a certain extent. Like I don't know. Besides like banned substances, I think salvia is illegal in Illinois. You can't grow salvia, but
uh, I heard about that stuff.
well, I mean,
Right.
salvia is one of those things that, like, in order for it to have the effect of what people were selling for a while,
Yeah,
it has to be concentrated down so hard. Like, it's not just like, oh, you enjoy the plant. If you go to Mexico, you can go to salvia uh, treatment centers, and they'll actually like put you through a spiritual journey, just like they would ayahuasca or anything else. Like, you
Iowa.
can go to Mexico and actually do that. They have their own ceremonies, but usually, surprisingly, I didn't realize they were also Christian based. A lot of them have like, well, I just think it's weird, like when you're taking a drug that's so ancient that you're like, oh yeah, let's talk about Jesus. Like I just I don't know, like, but
Because,
they talk about seeing a light.
I'm still really religious because of how much stuff I see and how much stuff I have seen as far as what my proof. Like God has to prove Himself to you, sometimes,
I
and
believe in a higher power. So no, don't get me mistaken. I believe in a higher power.
okay,
I think humans corrupt everything, and that's why I don't think any earthly religion is spoken right. But I do believe in a higher power. I do believe that a lot of religions talk about one Son of God, and they always reference this. Like, you can trace religion back. There's always some key points in all different religions, and whether it's the flood myth that we're talking about, whether it's the one begotten son, whether it's a lot of things. But I just feel like humans fuck it up. That's where the problem is. Like, the Christian Bible was written, what, 100 years after the people that were actually involved in it, something
yeah,
like that. I think the earliest one was like 90 years.
yeah,
I don't think anybody lived 90 years and was actually involved in it that was writing it. It was all just, the Iliad and the Odyssey at that point. They're just telling stories to the person that they can talk to. It's all verbal lore.
yeah. I mean, there's so many different problems with the Bible and how it was written and who has the right translation and all this other stuff. Sometimes I just let it go. I let it go. I've gotten what I've gotten from the Bible. I've gotten a lot of information.
You can get great things from
I
the
kept it
Bible.
moving. Like I just kept it moving. There's some people that don't get it, and I look for other stuff. There's lost testaments. There's so many other things. There's so many other people that believe that this happened and that happened, like how the martyrs died. All this other stuff. They was killing Christians for like years and years and years, and then Constantine decided to make this the official religion of Rome. Oh, there was people that had a problem with it, but at the end of the day, they was killing so many Christians, it became tiresome.
And
They got tired of it.
then the
Like, why do
Christians,
we care? Like,
but
they
then the Christians became abundant. Then the Christians became abundant and had their own crusade.
yeah, yeah,
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's the human nature getting thrown into religion, where that's where I think it flaws. Like,
you're
I think there's great
right.
messages in the Bible. I think people can learn a lot off the Bible. I also think there's horrible things in the Bible. I
There,
think
there,
I
there,
think women
there,
look I think women look like the weaker sex all through the Bible.
there are horrible things.
That's why they took out Lilith. That's
They
why they
were
don't
not
want to talk
made.
about Lilith.
Lilith. I heard you say Lilith. I love Lilith. You know,
Well, that's why the Bible doesn't talk about Lilith, is because they want women to be subservient to man. That's why they came from man's rib. Without man, you wouldn't be here. It's basically what they said. You were created out of a man's rib. You
and
can wear hats
there's
in
so many
church. You
ways
can
where,
you can
like,
wear hats in church to protect yourself from God.
why wouldn't anybody think that maybe he tried that? Yeah, made her equal to man, and guess what happened? she basically got him in trouble.
I,
Eve
I
got him
can't
in
put that.
trouble.
I
You
can't
know?
put that
So
label on all women.
that
I
was him.
can't put that label on all women.
Man, flesh of my flesh, bone of my bone, or whatever. She got him in trouble, you know, and then we can blame women all of a sudden. Like it's very sexist at first. Once we get over the whole sexism of that time, I think we have a job to do, and that's keeping our women protected, basically.
The
Uh,
slavery in the Old Testament. Are we even gonna? Are we gonna skip right over the slavery in the Old Testament?
there's plenty of slavery in the Old Testament.
No, I know slavery was an abundant thing, but we should address it if we're reading that book.
Right.
That's another human error that was printed and told people that it was okay.
You're right. You're so right.
Like I said, there's great messages in the Bible. I just think people need to be able to point out the flaws with it too, and they can't overlook those just because you're supporting whatever religion. Because I think I mean, that's something I used to do is study religion. That's all I used to do is study different major religions, and they all have flaws. No one's getting it right.
I mean, and usually those flaws are due to mankind's is due to man's error.
Yeah.
Human error. That's what it's called. Yes, human error.
It's not human error because most of the time it is man's error because only men were allowed to make the goddamn decisions.
You're right. You're right. You're right.
I mean, there's a reason it was called the King James version and not Princess whatever version.
Yeah. Yeah. There was a couple of versions where the female could write it. I mean, it happens. Mary had a gospel. There was other stuff, but we don't know how credible it was. I'll gladly admit that.
No,
Like
I know, and I just wish most Christians did that. I just wish most Christians did that. Like, there's nothing wrong with having faith in something. I think when people use it like a crutch in their life, and without that crutch, you wouldn't be able to hold yourself up. That's when I'm worried about you. Like, that's when I worry about people using religion in the wrong way. Like, you should use it to guide you and make good decisions. There's nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, you should have a moral compass yourself and know, hey, this doesn't feel right to me, or this does feel right to me. Like, this is why I'm doing it. I mean, it's not all Satan talking in your ear. Like,
yeah.
there's a lot of Christians that get pretty deep with it. But hey, Mud Rabbit. Oh, and thank you, Chase. I appreciate it.
Ooh, I can read the comments. Yeah, yeah. We're talking about how religion can destroy your life. They can use.
We've been talking about everything. We've been talking about religion. We've been talking about aliens. We're
Oh,
we're,
hey,
we're going through the spectrum tonight.
I got an alien crew. Yeah. Yeah, there's a crew of them. It's not just the Greys, the Zetas, so to speak.
have
Uh,
you looked into that the book of races or whatever?
Book of Race. No, I have not.
No. Like races as in like different beings. Um, there's a book on the internet that apparently is like it's a read along basically of said book, and I don't know if it's from Germany or where it actually came from, but basically they go through all the races, whether they're hostile or not, and these are all alien races.
I saw something on YouTube about that. I saw something on YouTube about that one. But I didn't. But I did not read the book. I didn't read the book. Sorry.
No, I've never seen the book. I've just seen the stuff on YouTube about it.
Okay, hey, you see the stuff on YouTube. You do your
Yeah.
research, but I just be messing around, clickety click.
But I'm just saying, like, with your own thoughts, like, how many races do you think are out there, or at least visiting this planet?
For now, over 30. About two of them are dominant. Four of them have dominant technology. The rest are just random. They this is a crash ship. Government of whatever place they landed in took them in, and they've either been able to blend in or they're in some underground bunker somewhere. Deep underground. That's where to keep them.
You think they're in lock and key somewhere? They're not working?
Not they could get out if they could figure out how to get back to their planet. They do that. They do those type of situations, but a lot of times they don't.
You're talking like craft crashes, and then they're stuck here, kind of thing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Ooh, hey, I gotta address this comment, Terry. So here's the thing. Basically, the FBI has already cleared Donald Trump before this raid happened. Um, the raid, quote unquote, happened because they already checked on this actually earlier in the year. He's allowed to have confidential files outside of his presidency, even after his presidency, and he did. Let me give you a great example. President Carter also had confidential files and was able to pass laws later after his presidency because of said confidential files. He was able to implement things that he was able to take a better look at. And so they already checked on Trump once with this, and they just wanted to make sure that he was actually keeping them in a safe place. And that's because that's pretty much their only guidelines. I mean, I mean, the biggest thing you probably shouldn't do is what do they call it? Bleaching the files. You probably shouldn't destroy or get rid of all the files if you're holding on to them. But I mean, the case that I'm referring to now is different than that one because that person wasn't ever the president, and she shouldn't have access to the same files, and definitely shouldn't have been keeping on such a horrible device. But when it comes down to it, Trump's allowed to be doing what he's doing. They're just making sure that he's keeping them in a safe place. Why they're calling it a raid? That is very politically based, I would say, especially with the midterms coming up. I mean, there's a good chance that that's going to be a slap in the face for no reason.
Raid.
Yeah. I don't even know why they're calling it a raid. They're basically checking to make sure Donald Trump is keeping his files in a safe place. That's how it should be stated, and I don't know why anybody would state it differently.
Can I say something about this January 6th trial?
Ooh, be careful. So I've had guests on here that were involved in January 6th.
Ooh,
And,
they got cut off, didn't they?
was that? No, they didn't get cut off. One of them, he's not really talking to me much anymore because he's a little locked up. So I mean, I would avoid that topic. That's probably one to steer clear of too.
I mean, like all I'm gonna say is, how come they haven't subpoenaed Trump? All I said. I'm not a Trump supporter, and I think, he wasn't there, and there's so many different angles where he could play it off like I didn't do it. That was all them. They're still not subpoenaing him, but they go into Mar-a-Lago.
That's what I'm saying. He already got cleared. He already got cleared by the FBI for that.
Yeah.
That's why I was just talking about the Mar-a-Lago raid.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I was just talking about. They're basically going to his house to check and make sure he's keeping his files in a good place. They've already been there before. They know he's got files there. That's why they're going back to said same place. That's why they're not raiding all of his houses, because he said, "Hey, this is where I'm keeping them," and they came back to make sure he was keeping them in a safe place.
All right. In their defense, I'd like to play the devil's advocate. Maybe they're just trying to get information that he's hiding. But in your defense, what I definitely understand is they basically had this stuff.
So I'm not a Trump.
Like that. Why?
I'm not I got to make it clear. I'm not a Trumper. I don't want people to think. I don't want people to think I am.
Who is?
But what the FBI is doing right now is it's an infringement on rights, and that's how I actually think it should be addressed. The FBI has done nothing for us in the last 20 years. There's so many cases that they could be investigating that are actually really serious, and I feel like they're wasting their time on political stunts right now.
And they're not doing Shiite.
I mean, no, they're not doing much of anything.
But then again, how much are they doing that we don't know about in their defense? I think about these things because I try to give people the benefit of the doubt all the time. I love this country. I would love to, you know, I ain't gonna talk about any political aspirations yet, but I have plenty of ideas of what I would do. Um, Listen, they're doing their job. We're not really
No,
supposed
no,
to
no,
know what.
no, 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 no. That's some bullshit. No, no, no. I gotta address you on that. I hate when people say that they're just doing their job. That's some Nazi bullshit. No, no, no. Just because so and so gave you orders doesn't mean you should be doing it if you know it's unconstitutional. Everybody has an oath that they take, especially as um, service workers in our country for any reason, no matter what level. Like I feel like there's an oath to our country, and we need to hold them accountable for the things that they're doing. Just like I think if we're talking about a shooting in a school, I think
Yeah,
the officers should be held accountable if they don't act upon what's going on.
you're right. You're right.
Anybody can apply the situation that I'm probably referring to, but at the same time, like I don't know. These people have to be held to responsibility. If you don't want to have that job, don't have that job. But
Right.
yes, that job comes with responsibility, and that comes with probably upholding the Constitution. Otherwise, what the fuck is the point? I mean, uh, it's gonna get really hectic before it gets better, and I think it's gonna actually lead to the destruction of a two-party system, which I think is a good thing. But I think we're starting to see how much strange influence the government puts on what's going on. Like I don't think the government should be wasting taxpayers' money on suing Hillary. I don't think they should be doing it on suing Trump. I don't think they should be doing it and investigating Trump. Like God, you know how much we paid taxpayer dollars wise? Like I mean, not per person, but as a whole, just to have Barack Obama have secret security actually follow Trump before his first election.
Right.
Like it's weird that we're stuck paying these weird ass like paying for these weird ass things for the FBI and Secret Services to do when it's actually it's not necessarily protecting us or doing what we actually put into these offices. I don't know. Maybe I'm a crazy person, but
You're not crazy. You're not crazy. I mean, you're absolutely right on. Like, I agree with you about a good 90%. I'll put it that way. Like, I give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe this is something that they need to do. But at the end of the day, it's obvious that they're definitely pulling our legs here, and who's gonna do it? Who's gonna be like, hey, FBI, uh, yeah, effed up. So far there's nobody doing it, and when people do it, then that's what they're doing, taking the voice away from you because you care. It happens. It happens, and it happens too often. And so far, I'm trying to prevent that as best as I can.
I mean, I hope everybody does their best to. I hope there's nothing wrong with asking questions about your government, and they should be happy to answer them. Like regardless, like I'm not like I think we live in a great country, and I want the best for everybody in our country, but I want to make sure that the country's operating how they say they're operating. I don't want to be some shady stuff. And at the same time, it's like if it is shady to you, you should be able to address it without being called a conspiracy theorist or something like that.
You're right. You're right. I question God all the time. Trust me on this. That's why I believe. So it's like everything that I see that I'm like, all right, that didn't sound right. That didn't sound right. What really happened? You know, I deal with the government the same way, only I'm not praying to the government. Okay, like I'm not asking the government for forgiveness for anything. I didn't do anything. I don't have any ties to the government. But they could. This 2023, your money is. I'm telling you, the money. Oh, somebody else wants to talk about this Bitcoin thing. Oh, invest in the Bitcoin. It's gonna get normalized. So just be ready. It's not gonna happen immediately, but all of a sudden you're gonna blink and it's like, why?
I got quite a bit of money working in Bitcoin. I reinvested when they dropped back down because I actually bought it. I actually bought Bitcoin at a high when I first got invested. I got invested late, and I was like, "Oh man, I'm at like the highest point. Like I know it's gonna go up from here, but at the same time, this sucks." And then it went down, and I was able to double down on it. I was like, "Oh shit! Now I can get 3 times as much," and I fucking doubled down on it on the low points, and now it's slowly creeping back up.
Yep.
Nobody's paying attention to it right now.
Yeah, yeah. So I want to get into it, but at the end of the day, I just know that I need to be able to afford one. So that's what I'm working on now. So
What up, baby?
it's gonna get crazy. Your phone is gonna be like, it's gonna get normalized where it's like your phone will pay for drinks at the bar. Like
Oh yeah, no, I mean
it's
it's just gonna be like the scanner that you have in your credit card. Like you're gonna be able
yeah.
to tap it to things and send Bitcoin or whatever else.
Now let's be careful. It might get invasive. Somebody's gonna want that microchip. You heard about that one?
Well, I mean, it's usually backed up. If you're doing things right on your device, you should know how to take care of it. But yes, you're stuck in a system otherwise.
Yeah, pretty much. So we're gonna break the system however we can. But if it's not breakable, we'll die trying. It's fine. Yeah, I can accept that fate. That's why I'm here.
Mud Rabbit says if you can't do Bitcoin, buy gold and silver coins and put them away and convert them later.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
Yeah, until the government comes in and says you can't have any more gold and silver, and they fucking take your shit away. Tell me that the U.S. hasn't done that before.
Yeah, gold and silver. It went from they changed the currency to oil for a little while. It's back to gold, and they ain't telling us anything because they don't know how much gold they really have left. Yeah, it's been going.
Yeah, until we start mining a fucking asteroid and bring a bunch of diamonds and gold back and saturate the market.
I heard of that, and I hope that's true. Everybody wins the lotto there. You win the asteroid lotto.
They're gonna go door to door like they did before, Mud Rabbit. They went door to door stealing people's gold back, like away from them. They didn't buy it off of them. It wasn't like a gun sellback situation. They just came to your place and were like, "Hey, we're taking your gold, by the way. And if you want to fight us about it, I mean, good luck trying to fight the U.S. military nowadays."
Right.
I'm not saying you wouldn't die for your gold, Mud Rabbit. I believe you. I bet you would defend the hell out of yourself. I just don't think it's going to do you any damn good against a drone. Yeah, the IRS is expanding, and look like Eric dropped off. To try to reconnect, but there he is. All right, but they put a bunch of funding into the IRS, and they're trying to almost triple the size of it. You're going to see a lot more raids on things that are opposing to society, especially when it comes to the IRS being able to do it. That's where they're actually suiting up a little bit more and trying to prosecute people is through the IRS now. And watch, these aren't gonna be rich companies. These are gonna be fucking individuals. They're gonna be small. They're gonna be small businesses or individuals that are gonna be hit with all these things.
Yep, and that's the 1%. I'm 100.
No. I want the 1%. I want the 1% to get hit. That's what Joe Biden ran on. If he was talking about taxing the 1% and he was saying less than less than 1% of the regular population will get what's it called, an effect on these tax brackets that he's putting into place. And what happened was he did not do that. 95%, or I think it was 85% of people that were under 200,000, under 500,000, are the ones that actually got audited and taxed harder. It wasn't the people above 500,000. Those are the 1%. Like if you're making 500,000 plus a year, then you're more than a small business. If you're only making 500,000 gross income a year, that's probably a small business. That's not crazy money. That's like, especially when you're talking about costs and funds and everything that goes into it. It's fucked up, and people are just watching it happen in front of them.
You're right. You're right. Big corporate America. I mean, so you tax the 1%. Who gets the money? Always follow the money. Always, always. I always follow the money.
Like I don't think you should tax people just for being rich.
I don't love the money. I follow the money. Okay.
Yeah, you
Somebody's
got
got
to. You got to follow the money. That's where the source is.
so there's been counterfeit bills. They worry about that. They thought it was the people are germaphobes now. All of a sudden, nobody wants to touch money. you know, you have that scenario, and then you have the idea that maybe this money doesn't even exist. All right. Well, I'm just bringing up conspiracy theories here and there. I'm sorry, but
These are Eric Carthage's opinions. So anything you hear after this is not responsible for the channel.
you're right. Come holler at my channel. Um, I mean, I looked at simple stuff like recycling. Now we're just talking about the rainforests and stuff and what people are using wood for paper. We're supposed to be able to recycle that. We're supposed to be able to recycle paper bags and plastic bags and all this other stuff. So I found out that when you find yourself a little broke, you start thinking of stuff. So I'm like, all right, let me throw these cans in there. Some of them cans aren't refundable. You can't get 5 cents out of some of these cans. Some of them bottles are not refundable. You can't get money out of those bottles. So what is happening where the recycling process actually stops? I can.
Eric, you're breaking.
I always
Eric, you're breaking up a little bit, man. I couldn't hear you.
Okay, I should be breaking up. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Can you hear me now? Okay. So there's certain stuff that can be recycled. This are past the recycling point. Now, there's years on your bottles. I check expiration dates. I'm a cook. I don't have a degree, but I do have a health, food service health thing. Where I could run a restaurant if I wanted to. The Board of Health will let me. There are expiration dates that are astronomical. They're astronomical, and you see these on the cans. I always take those very seriously. There's Best Buy or Use By. If you don't use it by that certain date, it's it starts to expire. No, expired by.
Okay, it's expiring ever since they put it in the box. So there's also a sell by date, and yeah, people need to pay attention to all of those fucking dates because they sell it with a minimum of like I think 2 shelf days or something like that. Like you have to eat it within 48 hours.
Yes. And it stays on that damn shelf for about a good week. Easy.
Yeah.
But they might go back to the preservatives. But I had that conversation before. Listen, I'm not here
No,
to bring bad time.
I
I
get
got
deep,
time.
I get deep into the food conversations. That's my favorite shit. Uh,
Really?
Mud Rabbit said they're going to go after anybody who makes under 75K. He said they're always go after the middle class. That's us because we bow to them. They know damned well that rich people will go through loopholes before uh, they pay a dime. Yeah. Here's a fact: your labor is not supposed to be taxed. I worked many years teaching people how to knit and silk point and never paid a dime on it because they paid for their supplies. Oh, gotcha. Well, that just means you do some nice volunteer work, Mud Rabbit. They paid me separately with strictly labor. Oh yeah. No, I assumed unless you're running a business, technically you don't have to actually pay taxes on labor, unless you have unless you have workers doing labor for you. Those are the actual labor tax. Is usually people under you because you no longer want to work. Like that's what I noticed when I got my business. If I have more people under me and if I have people that I hire, like those are the taxes I'm paying on labor. It's not my own labor and like hours worked. It's different than that. It's taxed different.
That's good. That's good. Uh, yeah, I
Hey
don't.
Julie,
Huh?
welcome in. I say shout out to Julie. Welcome in.
Hey. Oh, I know who that is. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
we cool. We cool. I like her.
yeah. Julie's a cool cat. I usually catch her on Facebook, but I'm not live on Facebook right now, so I apologize, Julie. But I'm glad you
Oh,
caught me on
I'm
YouTube.
definitely gonna share this this one.
What?
Don't, please don't take it down.
Oh no, this won't get taken down. We haven't said anything crazy. I mean,
Okay.
we're just kind of talking, and they can tell we're just talking off the cuff. Most people don't think that we're stating facts and like telling people how to live or anything.
Yeah, I know. Speaking of the food issue, I could talk about the avocados and what to spray these things the with. I'm still not sure.
You're killing me. You're breaking out, Eric. I can only hear like every other word.
Okay.
Try reconnecting and jumping back up. You still got the link, right? Otherwise, I can send it to you again.
I
Not
do.
turning on your mic and turning it back. No, not your camera. Try reconnecting. Try reconnecting to Streamyard.
Okay.
There should be a link on the top. Just copy that and then save it, and then you can just reconnect to the same link, or just jump back into the stream and click it again. Sometimes it does it to people on for a little while. Yeah, I got avocados out of that. That was about it. Avocados, the water chugger of fruits and veggies. It takes a lot of water to get a fucking avocado going.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, loud and
Okay.
clear.
Yeah. So
You're on avocados.
what type of pesticides are they spraying these with? They're spraying a lot of other stuff with these pesticides. I'm pretty sure that Veggie Wash doesn't get rid of all of it.
The
So
pesticide gets rid of all of what?
all of the pesticides. The
You think
pesticides
the
that
pesticides?
yes, pesticides that we spray the fruit with or the vegetables with.
You think that they do what?
They put pesticides in the fruit or vegetables.
Yeah, no, I got that.
Yeah. So I'm trying to figure out what that doesn't get washed off. That's what I'm telling
So,
you.
Okay. Let me give you something that I kind of came with my own diet. Um,
Okay.
I started going to a keto diet. I After I went to a keto diet where I only take in healthy fats and protein. That's the only thing I eat. And sometimes I'll eat like vegetables for fiber, but that's about it. Um, but what I realized is I started breathing better, and I could actually hear better. And I was like, "What the fuck is going on?" Like I thought I was tripping about it. And what I actually realized is I think I actually have a gluten allergy, and I think that's something that has been developed in the last, I don't know, 20, 30 years. We didn't hear about gluten allergies in the past when people were eating bread and carbs and shit all the time. Like all of a sudden we're getting twice the harvest because we're curing wheat faster and grain faster, and all of a sudden people are coming out with gluten allergies. Like, what the hell are you putting out in plants that all of a sudden people are getting sick from the same plants they were eating 20 years ago?
Yeah. Peanut allergies and gluten allergies are the first ones that have like surfaced, and I'm still wondering about the avocado allergies. I remember those. I don't have one, but I remember that being a thing. I
Hey
do.
Andre, welcome to the party, man.
Hey, Sandra.
Andre Little in the house. But yeah, Mother Rabbit said gluten allergies came up when scientists started pulling foreign genes in our food, or putting foreign genes in our food.
Maybe, maybe.
But yeah, I mean that was. We were putting GMOs in vegetables a lot longer uh, than we think we were. We just started talking about it a lot in the last 5 to 10 years.
Yes.
We've been putting GMOs and shit, trying to grow it bigger for a long ass time. If you think about like what the original banana looked like, it looked more like a plantain. Like all of our fruits and vegetables are manufactured to be like we want them to be. Full of sugar, fucking. I don't know. Like I have a love hate with vegetables. Like it's weird because I know most of them are manufactured. Like most of the shit that we have today isn't how it should be by nature.
Yeah, they're doing a lot of navel oranges and stuff. You know,
No,
navel orange.
I mean, think about like I wonder. I bet they were all smaller, the fruits in the past. I bet they weren't as big as they are now. I bet you they had more seeds in them, or the seeds were larger. I bet you they weren't as sweet as they are now. And I think those are all things that we've done into the genotype of seeds. I mean, it'd be interesting to look in the seed vault and see actually how far back we actually have seeds that were their original structure before we changed them so much.
So we're capable of like just putting a leaf to the ground. That's spreading up and very seedless. That's what we're capable of. So it's like the when you figure when you really go too deep into that, the matrix doesn't sound too far fetched. You know, it starts to really like they're growing you. You know, like it happens. And those you find yourself is that quality.
Eric, Eric, man, I hate to do this to you, dude. I bet you're making a really good point, but I can't hear what you're saying. I don't know if
That
it's
means
a connection issue or what. Or maybe it's just
that
me.
means
Let everybody in the chat let me know. Can you guys hear Eric okay? Or is it just me that's hearing this? Let me know in the chat
that
because
means
I don't want to be missing anything. At least I can watch it on the playback.
well, that means that my time.
Julie said you're right, Eric.
Okay, okay. That means my time is up.
No, I just want to. No, I just want to. No, your time's not up at all, man. If there's any way we can fix it, Oh yeah, a lot of people are saying not good, and he's breaking up. So I just wanted to make sure it wasn't just me and I was losing my mind.
Yeah, after a certain amount of time, when I talk about stuff, things start acting up. My energy happens, and it's definitely my internet.
The internet could definitely be a factor.
Yeah, I make do with what I have. I had to reboot one side of my internet. Now I'm using the 5G. Because you hear that?
It's because you're on the wireless. The wireless is the hardest to do.
Yeah. So as the internet, listen, I will gladly join another broadcast. Like I said, that means like there's a certain amount of time I could say certain stuff where the internet won't break up. That's just my theory. But that 2:30 mark. But if you can't hear that, I gotta go.
Yeah, I couldn't hear any of that, but I appreciate it, man. You have a good rest of your evening. And I'll talk to you soon.
We'll talk again.
Sorry about that, guys. I don't know what happened. All of a sudden, his audio wasn't coming through. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna probably end this stream, and hopefully talk to Eric again soon, and then yeah, I'll probably start one up again here shortly. Stay tuned.